Amy Rodriguez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she walked through the metal corridors of the Galactic Military Academy. Her boots made soft sounds on the polished floor. Around her, alien cadets moved with grace and power that made her feel small and slow. A tall blue creature with crystal skin walked past her without looking. Its name was Veltar, and it could lift 3 times more weight than any human. Behind it came a green alien with 4 arms. Amy had seen it practice combat moves that looked like deadly dances. She tried not to stare. The academy was huge. It floated in space between 3 different star systems. Students came from all over the galaxy to learn how to fight and protect their worlds. Amy was one of only 12 humans in the entire school. Most days she felt like she did not belong here. She turned a corner and saw her worst nightmare waiting by her room door. 6 alien cadets stood in a group, all looking at her with mean smiles. Their leader was Zektar, a red-skinned warrior from the Keth homeworld. He was twice as tall as Amy and had muscles that looked like steel cables. "Look what we have here," Zektar said in his deep voice. "The little human is back from another failed training session." Amy kept walking toward her door. She had learned that it was better not to talk back to them. It only made things worse. "I heard you came in last place again today," said another alien. This one looked like a giant bug with too many eyes. "Maybe you should go back to your little planet and grow food instead of trying to be a warrior." Amy reached her door and pressed her hand on the scanner. The door started to open, but Zektar put his large hand on it and pushed it shut. "We are talking to you, human," he said. "It is rude to ignore us. Please let me pass," Amy said quietly. Her voice sounded small in the wide hallway. "Please," Zektar repeated in a mocking voice. "Humans are always so polite. Even when they are about to lose everything," the other aliens laughed. The sound echoed off the metal walls and made Amy's chest feel tight. "Tomorrow is the final combat test," Zektar continued. "Everyone will watch you fail. Then you will be sent home and we will not have to look at your weak species anymore." Amy looked up at him. "I will do my best." "Your best is not good enough," Zektar said. "It never was. Humans do not belong in space. You belong on your dirt planet, digging in the ground like animals." The group of aliens laughed again and walked away. Amy waited until they were gone before opening her door. Inside her small room, she sat on her bed and put her head in her hands. She thought about home. Earth was far away, but she could still remember the smell of rain and the sound of birds in the morning. Her mother had been so proud when Amy got accepted to the academy. Her father had told her that she was representing all of humanity among the stars. Amy looked at the pictures on her small desk. Her family smiled back at her from the frames. They believed in her, even when she did not believe in herself. She had been at the academy for 8 months now. Every day was harder than the last. The other students were faster, stronger, and smarter. They had natural abilities that humans could only dream about. Some could read minds. Others could see in complete darkness. A few could even change the shape of their bodies. Amy had none of these gifts. She was just a human girl from a small town in Texas. She could run fast for a human, and she was good at solving puzzles. But that did not seem like much compared to aliens who could lift cars or shoot energy from their hands. The training was brutal. Every morning, they had to run through obstacle courses that would kill a normal human. Amy had to use special equipment just to keep up. In the afternoons, they learned about weapons and tactics. Amy studied twice as hard as everyone else, but she still came in last on most tests. The worst part was the combat training. Every few days, they had to fight against practice robots or holographic enemies. Amy had never won a single match. Not once. She came close sometimes. But close was not good enough at the academy. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison was the human instructor at the academy. He was the only other human that Amy saw every day. He tried to help her, but there were rules about how much he could do. He told her that humans had to prove themselves without special treatment. "You have something that the others do not," he had said to her last week. "You just have not found it yet." Amy did not know what he meant. She felt like she had nothing special at all. She looked at her schedule for tomorrow. The final combat test was at 0800 hours. All the cadets would watch each other fight against computer enemies in a big arena. The test would decide who graduated and who got sent home. Amy had been dreading this day for months. She knew she would fail. The other cadets knew it too. Even the instructors seemed to think she was just waiting for her chance to give up and go home. She lay down on her bed and closed her eyes. In her mind, she could hear Zektar's voice telling her that humans did not belong in space. She could hear the other aliens laughing at her. She could see their faces when she failed tomorrow, but deep inside, in a place she did not understand yet, something small and angry was growing. It was not hope, and it was not confidence. It was something else, something that would surprise everyone, including herself. Amy fell asleep thinking about tomorrow. She did not know that in less than 24 hours she would change how the entire galaxy thought about humans forever. The morning of the final combat test came too quickly. Amy woke up before her alarm and lay in bed listening to the sounds of the academy waking up. She could hear heavy footsteps in the hallway as the larger alien cadets walked to breakfast. Their voices were deep and confident. Amy got dressed slowly. Her hands shook a little as she put on her combat uniform. The dark blue fabric felt heavier than usual. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw a scared girl who did not belong here. The dining hall was full of noise and activity. Amy took her food tray and found an empty table in the corner. She tried to eat, but her stomach felt sick. Around her, the alien cadets talked and laughed. They seemed excited about the test. "Today we see who the real warriors are," she heard Zektar say from across the room. His voice was loud and meant for everyone to hear. "And who should go back to their home planets?" Amy looked down at her food and tried to ignore him. She knew he was talking about her. At 0800 hours, all the cadets gathered in the main combat arena. The room was huge, with seats going up high on all sides. In the center was a large flat area where the fighting would happen. Above them, holographic projectors hung from the ceiling like metal spiders. Lieutenant Commander Morrison stood at the front of the group. Next to him were 3 alien instructors who looked very serious. One was tall and silver with no visible eyes. Another had green skin and tentacles instead of arms. The third looked like a walking tree made of black metal. "Today you will face your final combat assessment," Morrison said. His voice carried clearly through the arena. "Each of you will enter the simulation field and face a series of enemies. You will be judged on your fighting skills, tactical thinking, and ability to survive under pressure." Amy felt her heart beat faster. She looked around at the other cadets. They all seemed calm and ready. She was the only one who looked nervous. "The simulation will adapt to each cadet's abilities," Morrison continued. "It will test you to your limits. Some of you will pass, others will not. The order of testing has been decided by random selection." Amy hoped she would go first so she could get it over with, but luck was not on her side. "Cadet Rodriguez will go last," Morrison announced. Amy felt her stomach drop. Going last meant she would have to sit and watch everyone else succeed before her own failure. She would have to think about it for hours while the other cadets showed off their skills. The first cadet to fight was Veltar, the tall blue crystal alien. He stepped into the simulation field with confidence. The projectors activated, and suddenly the arena filled with light and sound. Holographic enemies appeared around Veltar. They looked like metal robots with glowing red eyes and sharp claws. There were 5 of them, and they moved fast. But Veltar was faster. His crystal skin became harder and reflected laser beams back at the robots. He moved like liquid light, dodging attacks and striking back with perfect timing. The fight was over in 2 minutes. All 5 robots lay broken on the floor. Veltar stood in the center, not even breathing hard. The alien cadets in the seats cheered and made sounds of approval. Amy watched with growing fear. How could she compete with that? The next cadet was even more impressive. Zindo, the 4-armed green alien, faced 8 enemies at once. She fought with a weapon in each hand, spinning and dancing through the battle like it was a performance. Her movements were so graceful that Amy forgot to be scared for a moment. She just watched in wonder. One by one, the alien cadets took their turns. Each one was stronger and faster than Amy could ever be. They had natural abilities that made them perfect warriors. They belonged here. She did not. Finally, it was Amy's turn. She walked to the center of the arena on shaking legs. The other cadets watched from the seats above. She could feel their eyes on her like weights. "Begin simulation," Morrison said. The arena changed around Amy. She found herself in what looked like a broken city. Buildings were damaged and smoking. The sky was dark red. She could hear strange sounds in the distance. 3 robot enemies appeared in front of her. They were smaller than the ones the other cadets had fought, but they still looked dangerous. Amy pulled out her energy weapon and held it with both hands. The robots attacked. Amy dodged to the right and fired her weapon. The beam hit one robot in the chest and it fell down, but the other 2 were already moving toward her. Amy ran behind a broken wall and tried to think. She was not as fast as the other cadets, but she could think quickly. She waited for the robots to come around the wall, then surprised them by attacking from a different direction. The fight was harder than it looked when the other cadets did it. Amy had to use every trick she knew. She rolled and jumped and fired her weapon until her arms hurt. But slowly she was winning. Then something went wrong. More enemies appeared. Too many enemies? Amy counted them quickly. 12 robots now surrounded her. This was not right. The other cadets had not fought this many. Amy looked up at the observation area. She could see Zektar talking to one of the younger alien instructors. They were looking at a control panel. Amy realized with horror that someone was changing her test, making it harder, making it impossible. The robots attacked from all sides. Amy fought as hard as she could, but there were too many. Her weapon stopped working. Her protective gear began to fail. She was hit by laser beams and thrown against walls. Amy fell to her knees. The simulation enemies stood around her, waiting to finish the fight. She looked up at the seats and saw the alien cadets laughing. Zektar was smiling his cruel smile. "Simulation complete," Morrison announced. "Cadet Rodriguez has failed the assessment." Amy stood up slowly. Her body hurt, but that was not the worst part. The worst part was the shame. She had failed in front of everyone, just like they expected. She walked toward the exit with her head down. Behind her, she could hear the alien cadets talking. "I told you humans were weak," Zektar said loudly. She could not even handle a basic combat scenario. Her species should never have been allowed into the academy. Maybe she should go home and cook food instead of trying to fight. Another alien said. Amy stopped walking. Something hot and angry grew in her chest. She had been pushed around and laughed at for months. She had accepted that she was not good enough. But now she realized that the test had been unfair. They had cheated to make her fail. She turned around and looked at Zektar. For the first time in 8 months, she was not afraid of him. She was angry. "You changed my test," she said. Her voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. "What did you say, human?" Zektar asked. "You made it harder than everyone else's test. You cheated." Zektar laughed. "Prove it." Amy looked at Morrison. He was watching her with a strange expression. She realized he had seen what happened too. But she also knew he could not help her. "Not directly. I want to try again," Amy said. "A fair test this time." The arena became very quiet. No one had ever asked for a second chance before. "That is not how it works," Zektar said. "You failed. Accept it." Amy looked around at all the alien faces staring at her. She saw pity in some eyes and amusement in others. But she also saw something else. A few of the instructors looked interested. They wanted to see what she would do. "Then I challenge you to a real fight," Amy said. "No simulation, no tricks. Just you and me." The silence in the arena was complete. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Amy had just done something that would change everything. The silence in the arena lasted for what felt like hours. Amy stood in the center of the combat field, looking up at Zektar. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. She had just challenged the strongest cadet in the academy to a real fight. Zektar stared down at her with his red eyes. His mouth opened in what might have been a smile, but it looked more like a predator showing its teeth. "You want to fight me?" he asked. "A real fight?" "Yes," Amy said. Her voice was steadier than she felt. "You are even more stupid than I thought." Zektar said, "I will break you in half." "Maybe," Amy said, "but at least it will be fair." From the instructor area, Lieutenant Commander Morrison stepped forward. "Cadet Rodriguez, are you sure about this? Real combat is dangerous. You could be seriously hurt." Amy looked at him. She saw something in his eyes that she had never seen before. It was not pity or worry, it was curiosity. He wanted to see what she would do. "I am sure," Amy said. One of the alien instructors, the tall silver one with no eyes, moved closer to Morrison. "This is highly irregular," it said in a voice like metal scraping metal. "We do not allow personal challenges during assessment." "Actually," said another voice, "we do." Everyone turned to look. Walking down from the highest seats was an alien that Amy had never seen before. It was very old and moved slowly. Its skin was white crystal like Veltar's, but covered in strange symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. All the alien cadets became very quiet. Even the instructors stood straighter. "Elder Voss," Morrison said with respect, "we did not know you were watching." "I watch everything that happens in my academy," the old alien said. Its voice was soft, but everyone could hear it clearly. "And, I have seen something today that interests me greatly." Elder Voss walked to the center of the arena. Amy realized this creature was probably the most important being in the entire academy, maybe in the entire galaxy. "Article 47 of the Academy Combat Code," Elder Voss said, "states that any cadet who believes they have been treated unfairly in assessment may challenge their accuser to trial by combat. This law has not been used in 127 years. Amy felt her stomach drop. She had not known there was such a law. She had just been angry and said the first thing that came to her mind. "However," Elder Voss continued, "the law still exists. If Cadet Rodriguez formally requests trial by combat, and if Cadet Zektar accepts, then we must allow it." Zektar stood up in the seats. "I accept gladly, Elder. This human has insulted my honor by suggesting I would cheat. I will teach her the price of such words." "Very well," Elder Voss said. "But there will be conditions. This will not be a simple fight. It will be a true test of warrior spirit. Cadet Rodriguez, you may choose up to 5 other cadets to fight alongside you." Amy looked around at the other cadets. Not one of them met her eyes. They were all afraid of Zektar, or they did not want to help a human, or both. "I will fight alone," Amy said, "against 6 opponents?" Elder Voss asked. "Zektar and 5 others of his choosing?" Amy felt the blood drain from her face. She had thought it would be 1 against 1. Now she was facing 6 of the strongest cadets in the academy. "Yes," she said anyway. Elder Voss studied her for a long moment. "Interesting, very interesting indeed. Cadet Rodriguez, do you understand what you are doing? These will not be holographic enemies. These will be real opponents with real weapons. The fight will continue until one side surrenders or cannot continue." "I understand," Amy said. "And you still wish to proceed?" Amy thought about the last 8 months. She thought about every time Zektar had pushed her around, every time the other cadets had laughed at her, every time she had been made to feel like she did not belong. "Yes," she said. "Then it is decided. The arena will be reconfigured for live combat. All cadets will observe. This trial will determine not just the fate of these fighters, but will serve as a lesson for all." The next hour was busy with preparation. Amy was taken to a small room where she was given real combat gear. The weapons were set to hurt but not kill. The armor was lighter than what she was used to, but it would protect her from serious injury. Lieutenant Commander Morrison came to see her while she was getting ready. "Amy," he said quietly, "you do not have to do this. You can withdraw the challenge." "No," Amy said. "I am tired of running away. These are not humans you are fighting. Zektar is twice your size and 3 times your strength. His friends are Almost as dangerous. You are going to get hurt. Amy looked at him. You told me once that humans have something the others do not. What did you mean? Morrison was quiet for a moment. Every species in the galaxy evolved in their own way. Some became stronger, some became faster, some became smarter. But humans evolved on a world where everything was trying to kill them. You learned to survive when survival should have been impossible. I do not feel like a survivor, Amy said. That is because you have never been pushed to your real limit, Morrison said. You have been holding back, trying to fight like them. But you are not like them. You are human. Fight like a human. Amy did not understand what he meant, but she nodded anyway. Morrison started to leave, then stopped. Amy, remember this. They expect you to fight with honor. They expect you to follow the rules. They expect you to be predictable. What should I do instead? Win, Morrison said simply. Do whatever it takes to win. When Amy returned to the arena, it had been changed. The holographic projectors were gone. In their place were real obstacles and barriers. The floor was covered with different surfaces: metal, stone, sand, and water. There were weapons mounted on the walls. The alien cadets filled the observation. Seats. They were all talking excitedly. Many of them were placing bets on how long Amy would last. Zektar stood in the center of the arena with 5 other cadets. Amy recognized them all. They were the strongest, fastest, and most skilled fighters in the academy. Together, they could probably defeat a small army. Amy walked to her starting position. She was alone on one side of the arena. 6 alien warriors waited on the other side. Elder Voss stood between them. The rules are simple. This fight continues until one side surrenders or cannot continue. No killing blows, but all other techniques are allowed. There is no time limit. Amy looked across. At her opponents? Zektar was smiling his cruel smile. The others looked confident and relaxed. They thought this would be easy. Are both sides ready? Elder Voss asked. Ready, Zektar said. Amy took a deep breath. Something was happening inside her. The fear was still there, but it was being pushed aside by something else. Something that felt like anger, but colder, more focused. Ready? She said. Elder Voss raised his hand. Begin. Amy did not move. She stood perfectly still and watched as 6 alien warriors charged toward her. She had 17 seconds to prove that humans belonged among the stars. The timer started counting down. The 6 alien warriors ran toward Amy like a storm of claws and muscle. Zektar was in the front, his red skin glowing with excitement. Behind him came the others, moving in perfect formation. They had practiced this attack many times. Amy stood completely still. She watched them come closer. 3 seconds passed. The aliens were halfway across the arena. The watching cadets leaned forward in their seats, waiting to see the human girl get crushed, but Amy was not frozen with fear. She was thinking. Her mind was working faster than it ever had before. She was seeing things that the aliens could not see. Small things. Important things. She noticed that Zektar was running slightly faster than the others. This meant he would reach her first, alone, for just a moment. She saw that the alien on the left, a blue creature with tentacles, was favoring its right leg. It had been hurt in training last week and was trying to hide it. Amy saw that the formation they were using was designed to surround her quickly, but it had a weakness. If she moved at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right direction, she could turn their strength against them. 4 seconds. 5 seconds. 6 seconds. Amy moved. She did not run toward them or away from them. Instead, she dove to the ground and rolled to her right. It was not a graceful move like the aliens would make. It was fast and desperate and human. Zektar, who had been running straight at where Amy was standing, could not stop in time. He crashed into 2 of his own teammates. The careful formation fell apart in a tangle of arms and legs. 7 seconds. 8 seconds. Amy rolled to her feet and grabbed a metal pipe from the ground. It was part of the arena obstacles, but she turned it into a weapon. She swung it hard at the tentacled alien's injured leg. The creature screamed and fell down. 9 seconds. 10 seconds. The other aliens were getting back up, but they were confused. This was not how the fight was supposed to go. Amy was not fighting like the textbook said. She was not following the rules of honorable combat. She was fighting like something wild and desperate. Amy threw the metal pipe at another alien, not to hurt it, but to make it duck. While it was down, she ran to the wall and grabbed a training sword. But she did not hold it like a sword. She held it like a club. 11 seconds. 12 seconds. Zektar was back on his feet and angry. He charged at Amy with a roar that shook the arena. Amy waited until he was almost on her, then dropped to the ground again. Zektar flew over her and crashed into the wall. Amy rolled between the legs of another alien and came up behind it. She hit it in the back of the knee with the sword handle. The alien fell forward. 13 seconds. 14 seconds. 2 aliens were still standing. They were being more careful now, trying to work together. But Amy was not where they expected her to be. She was moving like water, always flowing to the places they were not looking. Amy picked up a handful of sand from the arena floor and threw it in the eyes of one alien. While it was blind, she tripped it with her foot. The alien fell hard. 15 seconds. 16 seconds. Only one alien was left standing. It was a tall green creature with 4 arms. It should have been easy for it to catch one small human. But Amy was not fighting like she was supposed to fight. She was fighting like a human from Earth, where everything was dangerous and only the smart survived. Amy feinted left, then went right. She slid under the alien's guard and struck it in the stomach with her elbow. The alien doubled over, gasping. For air. 17 seconds. Amy stood in the center of the arena. Around her, 6 of the Academy's best fighters were on the ground. Some were hurt, some were just shocked. All of them were beaten. The arena was completely quiet. No one was cheering. No one was making any sound at all. Even the aliens who had been betting against Amy seemed unable to believe what they had just seen. Zektar slowly got to his feet. His red skin was now darker, almost purple. Amy realized he was embarrassed. In front of the entire Academy, he had been defeated by a human girl in less than 20 seconds. "I yield," he said quietly. The other aliens on the ground also said they yielded. One by one, they admitted defeat. Elder Voss walked to the center of the arena. His old face showed no emotion, but his crystal skin was glowing brighter than before. "In 300 years of Academy history," he said, "no cadet has ever defeated 6 opponents in under 20 seconds. No cadet has ever won a fight using such unusual methods." Amy looked around at the faces watching her. The alien cadets were staring at her like she was some kind of monster. Some looked scared. Others looked impressed. None of them looked like they wanted to laugh at her anymore. "How did you do it?" asked Veltar, the blue crystal alien. "We are all stronger than you, faster than you. How did you win?" Amy thought about the question. She was not sure of the answer herself. "You all fought like you were supposed to fight," she said finally. "You followed the rules. You used the techniques you learned." "You did everything right, and you did not?" Elder Voss asked. "I fought like I was going to die if I lost," Amy said. "I fought like everything in the world was trying to kill me. I fought like a human." Lieutenant Commander Morrison stepped forward. Amy could see he was trying not to smile. "Cadet Rodriguez, what you just demonstrated is why humans have never lost a war against alien species. You do not fight to win glory or to show your skill. You fight to survive, and you will do anything to survive." Elder Voss nodded slowly. "The galaxy has always wondered why humans are so successful in combat despite their physical limitations. Now I understand you do not have limitations. You have motivation." Amy looked at Zektar. He was standing with his friends, all of them looking at her with new respect. The cruel smile was gone from his face. "I am sorry," Zektar said. "I was, wrong about your species. You are not weak. You are something else." "We are human," Amy said simply. "We do not give up. We do not accept defeat. We find a way to win, even when winning should be impossible." Elder Voss turned to address the entire arena. "Let this be a lesson to all of you. Never underestimate an opponent based on their appearance or their species. The human cadet has shown us that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one who refuses to fight by the rules. Amy looked up at the observation seats. The alien cadets were all staring at her, but they were not laughing anymore. They were not looking at her like she was weak or stupid. They were looking at her like she was dangerous for the first time. Since coming to the academy, Amy felt like she belonged there. Not because she was as strong as the aliens, but because she was human, and being human meant something important in a galaxy full of warriors who had forgotten what it meant to fight for survival. The 17 seconds that changed everything were over. Amy Rodriguez had just taught the galaxy a lesson about what humans could do when they stopped trying to be like everyone else and started being themselves. The silence in the arena was broken by a slow clapping sound. Elder Voss was applauding, then Morrison joined him. Then, one by one, the alien cadets began to clap as well. Amy had won more than a fight. She had won respect. And she had shown the galaxy that humans were not just another species trying to fit in. They were something new and dangerous and necessary. The sound of applause echoed through the arena like thunder. The applause slowly died down, but the silence that followed was different from before. It was not the quiet of people waiting for something to happen. It was the quiet of people trying to understand what they had just seen. Amy stood in the center of the arena, still breathing hard from the fight. Her uniform was dirty and torn. Her hair was messy. She looked nothing like the perfect warriors that usually graduated from the academy. But everyone was looking at her like she was the most important person in the room. Elder Voss walked closer to Amy. His ancient crystal face was hard to read, but his glowing symbols seemed brighter than before. "Cadet Rodriguez," he said, "in my 300 years at this academy, I have seen many fighters. Strong ones, fast ones, clever ones. But I have never seen anyone fight like you just fought." "I did what I had to do," Amy said. "Yes," Elder Voss agreed. "That is exactly what makes you dangerous. Most species fight because they want to win. Humans fight because they refuse to lose. There is a difference." Lieutenant Commander Morrison stepped forward. "Elder Voss, if I may speak?" "Of course." Morrison looked at Amy with something that might have been pride. "What Cadet Rodriguez demonstrated today is not something we taught her. It is something she has carried inside her all along. Every human has it. We call it survival instinct, but it is more than that. It is the ability to adapt, to overcome, to find victory in impossible situations." One of the alien instructors, the one that looked like a walking tree, spoke up. "This is concerning. If humans can fight like this, what does it mean for galactic peace?" "It means," said Elder Voss, "that we should be very glad humans are on our side." Amy felt all the eyes in the arena focused on her. It was scary, but not in the same way as before. Before, she had been afraid of being weak. Now she was afraid of being too strong. What happens now? She asked. Elder Voss smiled, and Amy realized it was the first time she had ever seen him show emotion. "Now, Cadet Rodriguez, you graduate with highest honors, and then you begin advanced training." "Advanced training?" "The galaxy has many enemies," Elder Voss explained. "Pirates, rebels, creatures from the dark spaces between stars. We need warriors who can fight them. But more than that, we need warriors who can teach others how to fight them. You have shown us a new way of thinking about combat." Amy looked around at the other cadets. Zektar was standing with his friends, but he was not looking angry anymore. He was looking thoughtful. "Elder," Zektar said, "may I ask Cadet Rodriguez a question?" "You may." Zektar walked closer to Amy. Up close, he was even bigger than she remembered, but she was not afraid of him anymore. "When you were fighting us," he said, "did you plan all of those moves beforehand?" Amy thought about it. "No, I just reacted to what you were doing. I saw openings and I took them." "But how did you see them so quickly?" "We trained for years to recognize such opportunities." "I do not know," Amy said honestly. "I just looked at the situation and asked myself what would work. Not what was supposed to work, but what would actually work." Zektar nodded slowly. My people have rules for honorable combat. We learn these rules from birth. They tell us how a warrior should behave. That is your weakness, Amy realized. You fight the way you think you should fight, not the way you need to fight. Yes, Zektar said, I see that now. Your species does not have these rules? Amy thought about human history. All the wars, all the struggles, all the times humans had to fight just to survive. We have one rule, she said, win. Elder Voss was listening to this conversation with great interest. Cadet Rodriguez, are all humans capable of fighting as you did today? I think so, Amy said. We all come from the same world. We all learn to survive the same way. Fascinating, Elder Voss murmured. The implications are staggering. Lieutenant Commander Morrison stepped closer. Elder, what are you thinking? I'm thinking that we need to revise our entire approach to combat training. Not just for humans, but for all species. We have been teaching cadets to fight like their ancestors fought, but the galaxy is changing. Our enemies are adapting. We need warriors who can adapt faster. Amy felt a chill run down her spine. You want to teach other aliens to fight like humans? Not exactly, Elder Voss said. Each species has their own strengths. But yes, we need to teach them to think like humans, to be unpredictable, to focus on winning rather than fighting with honor. Over the next few hours, news of Amy's victory spread throughout the academy and beyond. The recording of her 17-second fight was transmitted to military academies across the galaxy. Within days, it would be studied by generals and strategists on hundreds of worlds. Amy found herself suddenly famous in a way she had never wanted to be. Alien cadets who had ignored her for months now wanted to talk to her. Instructors asked her to demonstrate her techniques. Reporters from across the galaxy requested interviews, but the most important conversation happened 3 days later. When Amy was called to Elder Voss's private office, the office was unlike anything Amy had ever seen. The walls were covered with artifacts from dozens of worlds. Battle flags, ancient weapons, medals, and honors from wars that had ended before humans even discovered fire. Sit down, Cadet Rodriguez, Elder Voss said. We need to discuss your future. Amy sat in a chair that was too big for her. Am I in trouble? On the contrary, Elder Voss said. You are about to become one of the most important humans in the galaxy. I do not understand. Elder Voss activated a holographic display. It showed star maps, fleet positions, and threat assessments. The galaxy is not as peaceful as most people believe. There are dangers in the dark spaces between stars. Enemies that do not follow our rules or share our concepts of honor. Amy studied the display. She could see red zones marking dangerous areas, yellow zones showing unstable regions, and green zones where peace was maintained by military presence. These enemies, Elder Voss continued, they fight like you fought today, without rules. Without honor, only to win. Until now, we have not known how to counter such tactics. And now you do? Now we have you? And through you, we can learn to think like humans. We can develop new strategies, new training methods, new ways of fighting that will keep the galaxy safe. Amy felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. What are you asking me to do? I am asking you to help us save the galaxy, Elder Voss said simply. Will you do it? Amy thought about her family back on Earth. She thought about all the worlds in the galaxy, full of people who just wanted to live in peace. She thought about the enemies in the dark who wanted to take that peace away. Yes, she said. I will do it, Elder Voss smiled again. Good. Your first assignment is to return to Earth and recruit more humans for advanced training. We need warriors who think like you think, who fight like you fight. How many? As many as you can find. The galaxy is about to learn what it means when humans decide to protect something. Amy left the office with new orders and a new rank. She was no longer Cadet Rodriguez. She was Lieutenant Rodriguez, Special Instructor in Unconventional Warfare. Tactics. As she walked through the academy corridors, she passed groups of alien cadets practicing new fighting techniques. They were trying to learn what she had done in those 17 seconds. They were trying to think like humans. Amy realized that she had not just won a fight. She had started a revolution in how the galaxy thought about war and peace and survival. Behind her, in his office, Elder Voss was already making plans. The galaxy was changing, and humans were going to lead that change. Amy Rodriguez had shown everyone that sometimes the most powerful weapon was not strength or speed or technology. Sometimes the most powerful weapon was the simple human refusal to give up. The girl from a small town in Texas had just become the teacher who would help save the galaxy. And it all started with 17 seconds of pure human determination.